In this episode, we take you on a speed run of the GU's life adventure, from its standard Gwen Pass spec to the insane off-road rig it is today, capturing all the incredible places it's taken us along the way while going through it mod by mod with a breakdown of the cost at the end. Don't go anywhere, this epic transformation episode of our mighty TB48 Nissan Patrol is sure to give you some inspiration for your dream four-wheel drive. Proudly supported by Ultimate 9, Tread, Opus Campers, Superior Engineering, and in part by... Here it is, we have the new rig, 2003 Nissan GU Patrol TB48. I don't know where to start first, pretty bloody excited. It's in absolutely immaculate condition, better condition than my nav over there, which is only 2 years old. Doesn't have a scratch or mark on the whole car. It's never been off-road, and it's only got 69,000 kilometers on it, which is a pretty rare find for this model car this old. There was a couple of main reasons I went with a GU Patrol back when we purchased this. The first one being we had a growing family and we needed a 7-seat car. The second one, I had only driven IFS vehicles off-road and I was keen for a solid axle vehicle to run some bigger tyres and take on some tougher tracks. And then this Patrol was just the best condition vehicle that fitted those two categories that had popped up locally to me at a good price. The first modification we did to it was a front runner roof rack for an upcoming trip so we could chuck some swags and gear on the roof. And then before we started adding too many accessories to it, we wanted to take it out the bush, camping, four-wheel driving, and just see what it could do in its stock form. So my partner, Demi, and I chucked the swag, esky, a few bits and pieces in, and headed out into the Sells State Conservation Area for a weekend of camping and had an awesome time in it. After that first trip away, it was time to get into modifying the interior of the GU. Razorback seat covers to protect those nice factory seats, a dash mat, a couple of MSA seat organisers, a new centre console from Horizon Touring Products, which looked much nicer than the factory ones and actually gave us a couple of cup holders in the rig. That's the lid all mounted on, looks like it's all together now, it's starting to look pretty good. Chuck some treads on the roof, a rear door table, and a Drifter Stockton 270-degree wraparound awning. Even though we did have a full service history of the car and it was kept in very nice condition, we wanted to give it a good overhaul before I got into any sort of remote trips. So we just did all the usual things: oil and oil filter, fuel filter, diff oils, automatic gearbox oil, a full radiator flush, air filter, spark plugs, belts, and anything else we could see. I wanted to give the underneath a tidy up, some good rust protection, and make it look nice and shiny for when we chucked the suspension and tyres on. So gave it a good clean up underneath and then sprayed it all with some protective paint. Now that the car had been given a full service, it was all tidied up, looking immaculate. It was time to get into some proper off-roading modifications. The first one being twin diff lockers, We went with the Harrop E-lockers, and at the same time we changed the diff ratios. The factory ones are 3.5s and we changed it to 4.3s. I didn't get any footage of it, but somewhere during all this, the GU got some 35-inch tyres or 315/75 R16s, and then they're on some Neg 13 steel beadlocks. On the GUs, you can fit 35s with no lift, but you can't really take it off-road because it just scrubs on everything. So it was straight into suspension, and this was where the build was really starting to ramp up and things were getting exciting. I went with a Superior Engineering 3-inch Superflex lift kit with the 2.0 remote res shocks, upgraded radius arms, all your steering arms, panhards, you name it, it got it. Around the same time, we chucked a set of Legend X rock sliders on it too. Now the Patrol was really shaping up to be ready for some tough tracks. Twin locked 35s, the Superior Engineering suspension kit in there. We took it on its first trip, coming up to Christmas. It went out to Coffs Harbour and did some bush and beach off-roading. This was our first proper off-road and camping adventure in the GU with all the fresh mods on it, and we were hooked. It was so nice to drive and super capable out bush. We had an incredible time away. Once this trip was over, we were keen for some more mods and more trips. Today we are doing the full sound system install. So I have a Polaris Universal Max head unit to go in, some replacement speakers. With a fresh sound system in the GU, we continued the fit out of the interior, chucked a Kap fire extinguisher bracket and fire extinguisher in there, and a roof console. Here begins our Victorian high country adventure across the Murray River, Australia's longest river that separates New South Wales and Victoria, and it's actually up a little bit at the moment. We've had a fair bit of rain in recent time. This is the deepest we've ever crossed it. With a couple more mods on the GU, we were straight back out on the tracks and into the next adventure. This one was the biggest trip for the car yet, down into Australia's Victorian high country for a week on the road. Demi was driving the GU while Kai and I were in the nav. We tackled some steep hill climbs, plenty of river crossings and some awesome scenery while we were out there.
That's what you get for donkeys in the damn water.
The Patrol performed flawlessly on our Victorian high country trip, but we were keen to test it out to its proper capabilities and get it on some tougher tracks. To do this though, we need to change a couple of things around, so it was back to the modifications. This time we're working on the front end. The factory bull bar came off, replaced by a Razorback steel winch compatible bull bar. Stronger, better departure angle. We got a Runva winch in there and then mounted our accessories on it. Some light force bodies and an Oricom UHF. With the fresh front end on the Patrol, we're straight back out onto the tracks, this time heading west of Sydney into the mountains to explore the Lithgow area. And the Patrol got a proper workout out there on some of the tough tracks. The new winch got some use and we had an awesome time out there. One of my favourite memories on this trip was conquering Mount Walker. It was a track I'd always wanted to do, but I hadn't had the vehicle to safely conquer it before. We smashed it up there in the Patrol, and I remember that feeling at the top was awesome. Woo! Oh, we did it, Kai! Mount Walker done! The TB48 had been through a few good trips now, starting to get a couple of battle scars on it, but we were absolutely loving the car and the build. As always though, it's never enough, there's always more mods to do. We upgraded the factory auto hubs to a set of GQ manual hubs, got rid of the factory exhaust and chucked a 2.5 inch Legend X exhaust on there with extractors.
Tyler needs to wash his car. Ready for the dirt? 3, 2, 1.
The TB48, being a 4.8 litre petrol engine, was chewing through the fuel on the trips, especially the 35 inch tyres, so it was time to upgrade the factory fuel tank to a bigger capacity one. The factory rear tank is 90 litres and I upgraded to a 147 litre tank. And then with the 40 litre sub tank, it gave it 187 litres of fuel capacity for those long range drives and trips to get further away and more remote. A rear bar was added for some protection down the back and a place to mount the 35 inch spare tyre, as well as 2 jerry can holders that would then allow us to carry 40 litres of water on our trips. And the GU had been through a few deeper water crossings at this point on our Victorian high country and Lithgow trip, which made me a little bit nervous about the snorkel, so it was really time to get one on. This one was from Platinum Mechanical and Suspension, a stainless snorkel, and then we just played around a little bit with the TB48 factory airbox, changed the piping up a little bit so it was all watertight and sealed, so any deep water crossings we knew the engine would be safe. During this time we got a dual battery system made up for the GU, just so it could run fridge, camp lights and charge all my camera gear when we were on those longer trips. Because I wanted to retain the car as a 7-seater, we did it as like a portable dual battery box style. Consisted of a 1200 watt inverter, 100 amp hour lithium, DC to DC charger and some outlets and that plug my accessories into. With plenty of fresh mods on the GU, it was time for some more adventure, tackling those tough tracks and exploring those incredible places in Australia. This time we were up to southeast Queensland, where we met up with TJ Jack in his nav, checked out Sundown National Park, and then we headed over to the Springs 4x4 Park. Where one of the most memorable drives of my life was had at Beer O'Clock Hill. After watching a whole heap of four-wheel drives struggle and unable to get up to the top, I decided to have a crack in the big TB48. Alright, the pressure's got the better of me. Been told to have a go, so I'm gonna have a go.
That looks not that hard.
Oh my god, that was ridiculous. I just watched all those cars struggle and then this thing drove up like a piece of cake. Holy dolly. I'm like shaking.
Why are you shaking? Sure, it's okay, relax.
While on this trip, unfortunately, the patrol had been defected by the police for running 35s and a 3-inch lift. They had given me 1 month though to fix it up before the car was off the road, so I quickly got everything in order and got the GU engineered. The engineer put the vehicle through a series of tests, swerve tests, brake tests, meticulously checks every single detail of the car over, is fully legal and able to safely operate on the roads in Australia without obviously causing a risk to anyone. When building this car, I had kept engineering in mind, and I knew all the superior gear would be engineerable. 35s are the max size you can get engineered. The TB48s have really good brakes, so I passed all the tests with flying colours, and then I received my certificate to say that it was all road legal, which was a very happy day. With it all engineered and road legal, there was no current modifications needed, we just wanted to get out and enjoy it. This is when we actually picked up our new OP4 camper trailer, so we stepped things up with the Patrol and put it to some use towing. Demi was really starting to enjoy driving the Patrol as well, even putting it on limiter a couple of times.
Having fun?
I want to get up there.
Don't like back off when you hit that mound. Okay, we don't have $10,000 worth of superior suspension just to drive it like a princess.
The first set of tyres I had tried on the GU were a slightly cheaper brand, but I'd had 3 flats in 6 months now, and these were sidewall punctures too, so unrepairable. They were getting a little bit of a liability on the trips, so I upgraded to some Maxxis Razors, which I'd heard some really good reviews about. Around this time I'd also changed the wheels as well, from the steel bead locks over to some alloy bead locks. Just looked much nicer and a little bit lighter on the car. While all this was happening, we gave the car a good service given all the hard work it had been doing, some fresh wheel bearings and brake upgrade. Following that, it was just back into a heap more trips. We took it up Monkey Gum, which is one of my all-time favourite tracks. Just absolutely love it there. Spent a week down in Victoria with Timmy and his GQ, showing him why GU axles are stronger than GQ axles.
I think you did it, didn't you? He busted his TV.
And taking on a heap of tough tracks down there in Mount Disappointment, Tullarook, and then over into the high country for some snow driving. I was really just loving the solid axle life. The bigger tyres, the twin lockers, really nice suspension. It's just so fun to drive off-road, much better than the IFS nav I have, and it really opened up a whole new world of tracks and challenges that we could take on these trips. By this point, I was really sold on Patrol life. Had an incredible time on Moren Island. The GU was towing the OP4 camper trailer, no issues at all, ate it up in the sand. Finally found the rev limiter on the TB48 and gave it a good crack out the back of Coffs in some muddy ruts, and wow, they sound really good when you let loose.
That's the closest you've been.
I'm getting it, I'm dragging it out every time. Yeah. Should I go one more or?
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
Well,
That is how you do it, okay.
we'll winch from there.
It's a simple winch.
Took it up to Queensland, all through the Glasshouse Mountains, Little Red, and on the Southern Power Line tracks. Came about as close as I have yet to rolling the vehicle. Now that I had found the TB48 limiter, we decided to upgrade the oil pump gears to some billet ones, as they are a bit of a known weak point. They can shatter and then it's just going to take out your whole engine. With the incredible time we'd had on Moren Island as a family, we wanted to experience Fraser Island too, so just before Christmas we packed up both cars, the camper trailer, and took the GU up to Fraser. This was the first proper trip for the GQ that we'd recently built as well. It was good we had it there, the fresh turbo, because it was able to pull the GU, which was towing the OP4 through Nagala Rocks. Factory headlights are okay, but not the best. Upgraded to some Bushdorf ones, which are so much brighter on the road, and with all the cool party light tricks they can do, well, you can't go wrong. We headed out into Wagon State Forest in a little bit of a GQ versus GU challenge on some tougher tracks. That was the last trip we did in the GU before it spent a couple of months off road with a whole heap of upgrades, and that catches us up to today. And that there catches us up to the present day, where I've just got the GU back after a little time off the road. Had a few things done to it. It's looking very fresh now, so I'll run through what they were. We've got the Grandpa spec sun visor installed. The bull bar has stayed the same, but I've got custom bar work around the rest of the car from on-side fab. Front scrubbies, sliders, rear scrubbies. And then a quarter chop tube style rear bar, so it's been cut off in there. So then that's braced through the chassis for some added strength. The old one was just getting beat up and destroyed, and it kept knocking into the tail lights and destroying them, so I've got fresh tail lights on. It's just got the spare wheel holder on at the moment, but I am getting the dual jerry can holder for it, which will go there. And once all the new bar work was done, I got a whole new set of flares. So they're still just series 1 to 3 flares, but they are color coded to match the paint of the car, and I got the little black door trims along there color coded too. And this whole passenger side actually got redone because it had multiple dents in it, so I just figured I wanted to make all that side look fresh again. I didn't get the driver's side done, but honestly it wasn't too bad. There is a whole heap of scratches there, but that's alright. I haven't been driving the GU much recently. It's all been the GQ, and then we've had the various work done to it, so I'm keen to get it back out in the bush on some tracks. We're actually gearing up at the moment for a trip out through Central Australia, so that should be pretty cool. I'm quite happy where the car is at the moment. I just want to use it, but 2 things I want to get done over the next 6 months. I want to put reduction gears in the transfer case. It's just too quick off-road, especially with the auto. And speaking of auto, I just want to upgrade the auto cooling system a little bit, especially for when we're towing in summer, and you know, just working it on the harder tracks than that, you don't want to fry the auto. So I was going to do a bigger auto cooler and maybe a bigger sump on the oil, a couple of things like that. There has been quite a bit of talk of turboing it over the last couple of years. TB48 turbos can make a lot of power and go bloody sick, and they're a good engine to turbo. They seem to handle quite a bit, but not sure if I want to, because we've got the turbo GQ, we're about to engine swap and turbo the 80. These have pretty good power stock. Honestly, even on 35s, it goes pretty well. So I'm just not sure if I want to put it through all the turbo and money, and kind of pretty happy with how it is, just being a reliable tourer and tough track vehicle. It doesn't need to be super fast. But anyways, we'll see how we go one day. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed the episode, the build of this, start to finish, and some of the awesome places we've been in it. Alright, I'll see you around the next episode. Bye. Now I know the question that everyone will ask and want to know is how much did the build cost? So as accurately as I can, I've put together a table which outlines all the modifications and how much each one cost. If you want to pause the video now and have a read through, go for it. See everyone in the next episode.